What do we do when our faith is clouded by doubt? In the dim light of a prison cell, John the Baptist, once the powerful voice in the wilderness, now waits, gripped by uncertainty. He sends his followers to Jesus with a question that reflects his doubt. Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else? Meanwhile, Jesus, surrounded by his disciples in a bustling village, hears the question and responds not with direct words, but by pointing to the miracles he's already performed, saying, "Go back and report what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those with leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor." This response is more than just a reassurance to John. It's a profound declaration that the prophecy is fulfilled through visible acts of compassion and healing. And it's a reminder for us today that just as Jesus showed who he was through miracles, we too can see God's presence in the miracles that unfold around us. Each small blessing and each unexpected help is a sign, inviting us to recognize his hand in our lives even in moments of doubt. And as John's followers depart with their answer, Jesus turns to the crowd, sensing a question stirring among them about John's place in this divine plan. How do we measure greatness in God's eyes? As John's disciples leave to return with Jesus' message, the crowd around him begins to murmur. They wonder about John and his role in this unfolding story. Jesus, sensing their thoughts, addresses them directly, saying, "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind?" He continues praising John not as a man of wealth or comfort, but as a prophet, and more than a prophet, a messenger preparing the way for something greater. "Truly I tell you," he declares, "among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist." Yet, Jesus adds something unexpected. "Whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." This statement reframes greatness, showing that in God's kingdom, true worth is not found in status or power, but in humility and purpose. It invites us to see ourselves, no matter how small we may feel, as capable of greatness when aligned with God's plan. Just as John's role was pivotal in preparing the way for Christ, our seemingly small acts of faith can carry eternal significance. The crowd listens, captivated, as Jesus reveals the next truth, a truth about the hearts of those around him, searching but never satisfied. Are we open to God's ways, or do we resist when they don't align with our expectations? Jesus, noticing the reactions of the crowd, begins to speak about the restless hearts of his generation. He compares them to children calling out to each other in the marketplace, never satisfied, saying, "We played the pipe for you, and you did not dance. We sang a dirge, and you did not mourn." He points out that both John the Baptist and he himself have faced criticism, John for his austerity, and Jesus for his open-heartedness towards sinners. In this moment, Jesus exposes a deeper truth, the tendency of the human heart to resist divine guidance when it doesn't fit personal expectations. The people are looking for a savior, but are unwilling to accept the ways he reveals himself. Jesus' words challenge us to examine our own hearts. Are we open to the unexpected ways God might work in our lives? Or do we place limits on his influence based on our own ideas? It's a call to embrace God's presence in all forms, trusting that his wisdom surpasses our understanding. With this message, Jesus turns his gaze to the towns he has visited, where miracles abounded, but hearts remained unchanged. How do we respond when God's grace is within reach? Jesus shifts his focus, addressing the cities where he performed miracles, places that witnessed his power yet remained unmoved. He speaks with sorrowful conviction, calling out Chorazin, Bethsaida, and Capernaum. "If the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago," he declares. His words aren't just a warning. They are an expression of deep disappointment for hearts that encountered divine grace but failed to respond. This moment is a reminder of the weight of opportunity and how our response to God's presence can shape our future. Jesus' message echoes beyond those ancient cities, challenging us today. When we witness blessings, moments of help, or even the subtle miracles in our lives, how do we respond? Do we let our hearts remain unchanged, or do we turn towards God with gratitude and humility? It's an invitation to see each blessing as a chance to deepen our relationship with Him. Jesus' voice softens as He turns from lament to prayer, revealing a tender insight about the nature of God's wisdom. Who truly understands the mysteries of God? After His message to the unrepentant cities, Jesus shifts to a prayer of thanksgiving, lifting His eyes toward heaven. In a voice filled with warmth and awe, He says, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, and revealed them to little children." Jesus' words reveal a profound truth. God's wisdom is accessible not through human intellect, but through a heart open and receptive, like that of a child. He then speaks of His unique relationship with the Father, saying, "All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal Him." In this moment, Jesus invites each of us to experience a closeness with God, reminding us that understanding the divine is less about knowledge and more about trust and openness. It's a call to approach God with humility, ready to receive His mysteries through simple, childlike faith. With this call to trust and humility, Jesus' gaze turns to the weary souls before Him, offering them a promise of rest. What if true rest is found not in escape, but in surrender? Jesus turns to the weary crowd, His voice softening with compassion. He extends an invitation that echoes through time. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." His words are gentle, reaching into the hearts of those worn down by life's demands, struggles, and the weight of trying to meet expectations. "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." This isn't a promise of a life free from challenges, but an invitation to walk alongside Him, sharing our burdens with a Savior who understands. Here, Jesus reveals that rest isn't about avoiding hardship, but about finding peace in His presence, knowing we are not alone. It's a call to place our trust in Him and experience a deeper, soul-level rest that only He can offer. And in this call to rest, Jesus reveals the very heart of His mission, a heart of gentleness, humility, and divine compassion. What does it mean to carry life's burdens with a gentle heart? In these final words, Jesus gives not only an invitation, but a model, a way to navigate life's challenges. When He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me," He offers Himself as the example of a heart that is both gentle and humble. In a world driven by striving and self-reliance, Jesus presents a different path, one that relies on compassion, patience, and trust in God's guidance. His humility is not weakness but strength, showing that true peace comes from a surrendered heart. As we conclude this chapter, His message lingers. Life's burdens are made lighter not by struggling alone, but by leaning into His love and grace. This is the essence of faith, trusting that in our quiet surrender, we will find strength and rest. It's an invitation to walk in His footsteps, to embrace a spirit of humility, and to find peace in letting go.